Hi dear students, Santosh here, and today I am going to deliver the second lecture on concrete, and that deals with the workability of concrete. The workability of concrete is very important chapter, and all the time in the examination there is one question that define the workability and explain any one method to measure the workability. So one must prepare for this question. So without wasting any time, let us start the lecture. First of all, what is the definition of workability? There are different definitions of workability, but according to Road Research Laboratory, UK, workability is defined as the property of the concrete which determines the amount of useful internal work necessary to produce the full compaction. It is very simple definition. Amount of useful internal work necessary to produce the full compaction. Okay, म्हणजेच असं आतलं वर्क ची अमाऊंट आहे किंवा असं इंटरनल वर्क आहे की त्या इंटरनल वर्कमुळं आपल्याला कॉन्क्रीटचं फुल कॉम्पॅक्शन करता येतं. इट कॅन बी डिफाईन्ड ॲज द एस विथ विच कॉन्क्रीट कॅन बी कॉम्पॅक्टेड 100% हॅव्हिंग रिगार्ड टू मोड ऑफ कॉम्पॅक्शन अँड द प्लेस ऑफ डिपॉझिशन. फॉर एक्झाम्पल, इझीनेस इन हँडलिंग ऑफ कॉन्क्रीट मिक्सचर फॉर इट्स मिक्सिंग, ट्रान्सपोर्टेशन, प्लेसिंग अँड कॉम्पॅक्शन. थोडक्यात वर्कॅबिलिटी ही कॉन्क्रीटची अशी प्रॉपर्टी आहे की कॉन्क्रीटचे सगळे ऑपरेशन्स इझिली करता येतात. मग ही सगळे ऑपरेशन्स कुठले असतील तर मिक्सिंग, ट्रान्सपोर्टेशन, प्लेसिंग, कॉम्पॅक्शन. इतकं सोपं आहे ते. IS 6461/1973 defines the workability as the property of a fresh mixed concrete or a mortar which determines the ease and homogeneity with which it can be mixed, placed, compacted and finished. जे मी आधी सांगितलं तेच सांगतो आहे. Then we are going to discuss the factors affecting the workability. The proportions and properties of a water, cement, aggregates affect the workability of concrete. The workability of concrete is also improved by the use of certain admixtures. The various concreting operations, if properly done, increase the workability of concrete. The factors improving the workability may affect the other properties of concrete. Means if the workability is more, the strength of concrete is less. The main factors which affects the workability are described as under. First is the water content. Workability is mainly affected by the water content of the mix, and it increases with the increase in the water content on account of greater lubrication. By increasing the quantity of water or water cement ratio, solid particles of coarse and fine aggregates settle and cause bleeding. म्हणजेच पाण्याचं प्रमाण वाढवलं तर वर्कॅबिलिटी वाढते. वर्कॅबिलिटी वाढली तर कॉन्क्रीटची स्ट्रेंथ कमी होते आणि फाईन आणि कोर्स ॲग्रिगेटचं ब्लिडिंग होतं. पण वर्कॅबिलिटी का वाढते? कारण लुब्रिकेशन हे व्यवस्थित होतं. देन साईज ऑफ ॲग्रिगेट. स्मॉलर साईज ॲग्रिगेट ऑफर्स ग्रेटर सरफेस एरिया दॅन द लार्ज साईज ॲग्रिगेट्स. हेन्स द सेम डिग्री ऑफ वर्कॅबिलिटी, लेस वॉटर इज रिक्वायर्ड फॉर लुब्रिकेशन फॉर द लार्ज साईज ॲग्रिगेट्स अँड दे आर मोर वर्केबल. म्हणजेच छोट्या ॲग्रिगेटपेक्षा मोठे ॲग्रिगेट्स हे वर्केबल असतात कारण क्वांटिटी ऑफ वॉटर लेस लागते. लेसर क्वांटिटी ऑफ वॉटर यूज्ड इन लार्ज साईज ॲग्रिगेट्स ऑल्सो रिड्युसेस द क्वांटिटी ऑफ सिमेंट फॉर गिवन वॉटर सिमेंट रेशो अँड इट इज देअर फॉर इकॉनॉमिकल. म्हणजेच मोठ्या साईजचे ॲग्रिगेट्स वापरा. देन शेप ऑफ ॲग्रिगेट. द पार्टिकल शेप ऑल्सो अफेक्ट्स द वर्कॅबिलिटी. Angular aggregates reduces the workability. Similarly, rounded aggregates increases the workability. Hence, the workability is increased in the former case, means in rounded aggregates with a given water cement ratio. कारण circular किंवा rounded aggregates ला water content less लागतं. Then we are going to discuss the surface texture of aggregate. पोरस अँड नॉन सॅच्युरेटेड ॲग्रिगेट विल रिक्वायर मोर वॉटर. जे सच्छिद्र असतात ॲग्रिगेट त्याला वॉटर जास्त लागणार आहेत, आणि जे सच्छिद्र नसतात म्हणजेच नॉन पोरस असतात त्यांना वॉटर जास्त लागणार आहे. फॉर द सेम डिग्री ऑफ वर्कॅबिलिटी, लॅटर विल रिक्वायर द लेस वॉटर, मीन्स नॉन पोरस रिक्वायर लेस वॉटर. ऑन द होल दिस फॅक्टर इज ओनली ऑफ सेकंडरी इम्पॉर्टन्स. दॅट सरफेस टेक्स्चर ऑफ ॲग्रिगेट. देन ग्रेडिंग ऑफ ॲग्रिगेट. द ग्रेडिंग ऑफ ॲग्रिगेट for any given degree of workability varies with the water content of the paste. Optimum percentage of fine aggregate for a concrete mix is that quantity which requires the lowest unit water content and also provides the required degree of workability. That is the grading of aggregate. Grading means arrangement of various types of particles. Then use of air entertaining agents. On the side of most of the works, the use of air entertaining agents is made, which produces a large number of very minute air bubbles in the concrete. These are distributed throughout the mass of concrete, and these air bubbles act as a rollers and increases the workability. This is the principle of that air entraining agents. Then second property is all the time asked in examination, that is creep of concrete. When the load is applied on the concrete for a longer period, the deformation continues to take place and does not come to normal when load is removed. This deformation is called as a creep. It is also called as a plastic flow. What is the creep? Creep is nothing but the deformation. Means if original size of concrete is like this, and when load is applied on this concrete and it is deformed like this, this deformation is called as a creep of concrete, or it is called as a plastic flow. Then factors affecting the creep in concrete. Similarly, same as that of workability, that is water cement ratio, aggregate cement ratio is there, grading of aggregate, age at the time of loading, moisture content of the concrete means water content, and size of the mass of concrete. Size also affects the creep of concrete, creep in concrete. Then shrinkage in concrete. What is the shrinkage? Shrinkage is nothing but the reduction in volume. When concrete is exposed to the unsaturated air, it gets dried and water is drawn from the concrete. This withdrawal of water causes the shrinkage of concrete. It is known as a drying shrinkage. म्हणजेच जेव्हा पाणी या कॉन्क्रीटमधून काढलं जातं तेव्हा त्याचं व्हॉल्यूम कमी होतं, आणि हे रिडक्शन इन व्हॉल्यूमला आपण काय म्हणतो तर श्रिंकेज म्हणतो. या श्रिंकेजमुळे क्रॅक्ससुद्धा येतात. फॅक्टर्स अफेक्टिंग द श्रिंकेज इन कॉन्क्रीट same as that of workability and creep, that is cement and water content, gradation and amount of aggregate, admixtures, moisture and temperature conditions, size and shape of concrete mass also, and amount and distribution of reinforcement. This is the added factor. Then we are going to describe, or we are going to elaborate the measurements of workability of fresh concrete. You all people know that workability is the property of fresh concrete. There are different methods of measuring the workability of fresh concrete. Each of them measures only a particular aspect of it. So there is really no unique test which measures the workability of concrete in the totality. But there are different tests. First is the slump cone test, which is very popular. Second is Vee Bee Consistometer test, third is the flow test, and fourth is the compacting factor test. In diploma examination at our time, we studied only two methods, that is slump cone test and compacting factor test. But Vee Bee consistency test and flow tests are studied in the degree level of examination. First, slump cone test. The slump cone is oiled from inside and placed on non-absorbent surface. What is slump cone? The bottom diameter is 20 centimeter, top diameter is 10 centimeter, and height is 30 centimeter. It is filled with the concrete in three layers and compacted uniformly with the steel rod. Struck up the concrete to the level of cone with the trowel. Immediately remove the cone by slowly and carefully lifting it vertically. We have to lift that cone vertically. The vertical distance by which concrete subsides is slump, measured in mm, or it may be in cm also. If the size of slump cone, top diameter is 10 centimeter, that is 100 mm, bottom is 200 mm, and height is 300 mm. This is the slump. Slump means the difference between the height of that slump cone and subsided concrete, as shown in this figure. One must know this figure. In slump cone test also, which slump is better for which type of concrete? That is very important aspect of studying slump cone test, and I am going to deliver that lecture separately. Then Vee Bee consistency test. It is similar to slump cone test. All the internal surface of the apparatus are cleaned and oiled. Place the slump cone inside the sheet metal cylindrical pot of the consistometer अँड फिल इट विथ द कॉन्क्रीट. म्हणजेच सिलेंड्रिकल पॉटमध्ये स्लम कोन ठेवायचा आहे. म्हणजेच ही स्लम कोन टेस्ट आहे पण सिलेंड्रिकल पॉट यूज करतो आहे. द ग्लास डिस्क इज अटॅच टू द सिव्हल आर्म is turned and placed on the top of the concrete in the pot. The electric vibrator is switched on and stopwatch is started. Vibration is continued till such a time as the conical shape of concrete disappears and concrete assumes a cylindrical shape. म्हणजेच कोनिकल शेप कॉन्क्रीटचा बदलून जेव्हा सिलेंड्रिकल होतो अशा टाईमला किंवा अशा टेस्टला व्ही बी कन्सिस्टन्सी टेस्ट असं म्हणतात. When concrete fully assumes a cylindrical shape, the stopwatch is switched off. The time required for the shape of concrete to change from slump cone shape to the cylindrical shape in seconds is known as a Vee Bee degree or Vee Bee seconds. That is very important. What is Vee Bee degree? Please see this figure. The slump cone is placed in a cylindrical pot and glass disc is there also and motor is there and vibrate. That cylinder and a slump cone is placed on vibratory table and the size of slump cone is similar to that of slump cone test, that is 10 centimeter, top diameter 20 centimeter, bottom diameter and height is 30 centimeter. Then third test is flow test. Flow test, the tabletop is cleaned of all gritty material and is weighted. The mold is kept. It is also similar to slump cone test. The mold is kept on the center of the table, firmly held and is filled in 2 layers. In slump cone test there are 3 layers, but in flow test there are 2 layers. Each layer is rodded 25 times. The mold is lifted vertically upward and concrete stands on its own without support. The table is then raised and dropped 12.5 mm, raised and dropped to the height of 12.5 mm 15 times in about 15 seconds. 15 times. 12.5 उंचीवर ते टेबल वर खाली केलं जातं 15 वेळेला आणि 15 सेकंदात. Diameter of the spread concrete is measured in about 6 directions to the nearest to the 5 mm and average speed is noted. The flow of concrete is the percentage increase in the average diameter of the spread concrete over the base diameter of the mold. मोल्डचा बेस डायमीटर किती वाढलेला आहे 6 डायरेक्शनमध्ये हे मेजर करणे म्हणजेच फ्लो ऑफ कॉन्क्रीट मेजर करणे. What is the flow in percentage? The spread diameter of concrete in centimeter minus 25, that is the bottom diameter. The bottom diameter is different than that of slump cone test. These are the dimensions. Bottom diameter is 25 centimeter. The top diameter is 17 centimeter and height is 12 centimeter. Okay. And this is the test apparatus for the flow test. One must remember this apparatus. One must carry on certain simple tests and one must write in examination. So what is the flow in percentage? That is the spread diameter in centimeter minus 25. That 25 is the bottom diameter divided by 25 into 100. The value could range anything from 0 to 150%. Compacting factor test. All the internal surfaces of the apparatus are cleaned and oiled. For all type of apparatus, first of all we have to clean that apparatus. Place the concrete in hooper A. आता मी फक्त मराठीत सांगतो आणि मग नंतर इंग्लिशमधलं वाचू. हे हुपर ए टॉपचं, बॉटमचं हुपर बी आहे आणि खाली सिलेंड्रिकल सी आहे. या सिलेंड्रिकल सीमध्ये 3 लेअरमध्ये कॉन्क्रीट भरून कॉम्पॅक्ट केलं. दॅट वेट इज फुल्ली कॉम्पॅक्टेड कॉन्क्रीट. आणि या हुपरमधनं कॉन्क्रीट सोडलं एमधून ते बीमधनं पडेल, बीमधनं सोडलं ते सीमध्ये पडेल आणि त्याचं वेट घेतलं. दॅट वेट इज वेट ऑफ पार्शली कॉम्पॅक्टेड कॉन्क्रीट. म्हणजेच वरून खाली सोडलेलं कॉन्क्रीटचं वेट आणि खाली फुल्ली कॉम्पॅक्ट केलेल्या कॉन्क्रीटचं वेट ह्याचा रेशो जर घेतला तर त्याला कॉम्पॅक्टिंग फॅक्टर असं म्हणतात. ऑल इंटरनल सर्फेसेस ऑफ apparatus are cleaned and oiled. Place the concrete in hooper A. Open the trap door so that concrete falls into hooper B. Open the trap door of hooper B so concretes fall into the cylinder. The surplus concrete is removed from the top of cylinder with the help of trowel. Wipe and clean outside surface of cylinder and weight it nearest to the 10 gram. This weight is called as a partially compacted concrete, that is W1. The cylinder is emptied again filled with the concrete in three layers as described earlier and compacted properly. Cylinder is again weighted nearest to the 10 gram. This weight is weight of fully compacted concrete. Then weight the empty cylinder, that is W. So what is compacting factor? Weight of partially compacted concrete divided by weight of fully compacted concrete. Means what is the formula for that? W1 minus W. W1 means weight of partly compacted concrete and divided by W2 minus W. What is W? W is the weight of cylinder. Okay. So one must remember that what is the good compacting factor? Whether it is 0.98, whether it is 0.95, whether it is 0.90, whether it is 0.85. This is the exercise for you people. Okay. I am going to describe all these values in the next lecture or coming lectures. So one must remember all these tests for the examination. So thanking you, and please listen my lectures till the end to get the ideas of concrete technology, and you must go for the MPSC type of examinations with very clear and sound mind. Thanking you. Bye bye. See you in the next lecture.